Hello and welcome back. At this time of year, when energy runs low and the to-do list feels endless, it's easy to lose sight of the magic in teaching. Yet sometimes, all it takes is a single moment of wonder to remind us why we do what we do. In this post, I'm exploring how awe, that feeling of vastness and connection, can rekindle our sense of purpose and help us see our classrooms and ourselves with fresh eyes. While awe might sound like a fleeting emotion, researchers have been uncovering just how powerful it really is. From its effects on our nervous system to its role in building empathy and connection, the science behind awe reveals why those magical classroom moments matter much more than you might think. Seeing the world through the eyes of children and young people is one of the most rewarding aspects of teaching. Nature provides the raw materials, and our role is to present these to the children and watch as they delight in the wonderful, beautiful, fascinating details before them. For me, a rewarding feeling comes when a child discovers that they can read after all. You see, by the age of 7, a child can see themselves as less than the other children, especially if their reading is stuck at the early stages of decoding. I myself am in awe of the transformation when a quiet, underachieving, subdued 7-year-old transforms into one who runs across the room to grab a book and read, and actually must be reminded to slow down. You too must have your own special moments of awesomeness that make teaching the best job in the world. But what is awe exactly? I mean, how would you describe it? I think of it as something that reminds me that I am part of a profoundly beautiful universe that works in ways that we just do not yet understand. Perhaps it is awe that spurs us on to discover as much as we can and as fast as we can. One thing is for certain, awe is a positive experience, and at this time of year, when we might anticipate the first snowfall or be about to begin rehearsals for the end of term performances, we know that there will be an opportunity to experience and share moments of awe. According to researchers who collected data on awe, there are 2 physical sensations that we feel in moments of awe, and these are vastness and unity. Perhaps we become aware of our tiny significance in the big scheme of things, but also that we are stronger when we are together. It is particularly apt that as the nights grow longer and colder, that our natural inclination towards awe would increase. Moments like these remind me that awe isn't just a fleeting feeling. It's almost a force that shapes how we learn and connect and grow. And as it turns out, science is beginning to explain why. Researchers have discovered that during awe, the sympathetic nervous system's response of defensive behaviour is released, and the parasympathetic response increases. In simple terms, awe helps us to feel less self-absorbed and more connected to others. Isn't it incredible to think that a single moment of wonder can shift our biology towards empathy and togetherness? From a cognitive science perspective, it's fascinating that awe doesn't only change how we feel, it changes how we process information in time. During awe, our window of perception dilates and time seems to stretch and slow right down, allowing us to perceive patterns, contours, and salience with greater sensitivity. This expansiveness supports prediction, sequencing, and rhythmic perception. These are the same capacities that actually support fluent reading, attention, and also higher order learning. And this contrasts with the opposite emotional experiences of loneliness, reflection, and rumination, which seem to fade when awe takes hold. The most wonderful aspect of the research is that the data point to loneliness and awe as states that anyone can experience depending on conducive circumstances. In other words, these are not traits that are heritable and only available to a few people. Feelings of awe can be life-changing because these emotions are transformative in the sense that they can prompt people to reevaluate their lives and update their view on the world and also their connections with others. They can even make lasting changes because of the insights that are gained through the immersive feelings that are associated with awe. So, awe nudges our nervous systems to entrain in a special way. And entrainment is the rhythm based mechanism that primes our internal rhythms to anticipate and synchronize with external cues, such as singing and chanting, dancing, or storytelling. This synchronization is actually thought to strengthen pro-social behavior, group cohesion, and shared attention in the classroom. So when we experience awe together, we learn together and we even remember what we have learned with greater ease. Perhaps the most interesting aspect of the feeling of awe is that it can be measured by an algorithm called the Lempel-Ziv complexity. This pattern emits a high level of reproducibility, a bit like the way that multiple sparks are emitted from a single firework. Isn't it fascinating that something as intangible as wonder can be captured in data? So this pattern is associated with a higher capacity for processing information in the moment that moves us beyond the familiar territory of how oxytocin enhances social bonding. And it moves us into a new understanding of how awe can shape our mind. In educational terms, this heightened complexity reflects a mind that is more open and more capable of integrating new information. It mirrors the neural conditions when children might hear their parents singing, enabling them to detect and anticipate linguistic and rhythmic patterns, which are actually the necessary launch point for reading fluency. Awe is not only an emotion, it's also a state of expansiveness. It's not difficult to imagine how the experience of awe could be advantageous from an evolutionary perspective. Arriving at a new location abundant with food sources and clean water, a beautiful vantage point across the terrain, our ancestors must have felt awe, a sense of togetherness and a strong sense of orientation with one another and their world. Perhaps awe signalled to one and all that they had arrived at a place where they would prosper and flourish. So let's think about the research again. When they were collecting their data on awe, the researchers had their adult participants watch a video about nature with the music playing. A large number of studies have established the pro-social effect of classical music, choirs, orchestras, and music lessons, as well as background music and singing to young children, and the effect that this has on increased social cooperation among people of all ages, and yes, even very young children. So, taking all of this together, I've been reflecting on what we know about awe. Whether we tell stories or read about an incredible situation, hear beautiful music, or notice a child's transformation, the same thing can happen. We become aware that we are part of something vast. This perceptual shift has been mapped in the brain and involves a change in the way the main brain networks connect. The sense of being an individual gives way, allowing the social behaviour to come to the fore. Absorbing information in a new way, in a heightened state of awareness and flow, the transitory state of awe allows us to step beyond our mundane day-to-day and cross a threshold into the sublime, because we become empathic and open and more receptive to working together as a group and to processing information in a heightened way. Great leaders are capable of sparking this level of collective experience by speaking rhythmically and setting out their vision using imagery that evokes vastness and timelessness. They use phrases such as our children's children. Writers, artists, composers, and performers can do exactly the same thing by drawing us into something far greater than ourselves. Have you ever felt that shiver of connection when someone's words or music seem to lift an entire room? This is awe at work, uniting us in a shared sense of purpose and possibility. To bring this back down to earth, let's look at our own communities, our schools, our classrooms, and our children. Perhaps we will see a flurry of snow and experience a little moment of awe in the next 2 weeks. But do our children know that the remarkable experience of awe is also available to them through reading, storytelling, poetry, singing, and music. Has that spark been ignited yet? As we begin December, many children will be preparing for their first performance at school. And this is a time when people do come together to feel that unity, to tell the old stories that evoke vastness, hope, and togetherness. The life of a school community can be transformed by collective acts of creativity. Imagine how the world might change if every child was moved by a profound experience of awe before the end of term. And perhaps as we watch them, we might rediscover that same sense of wonder within ourselves. Ultimately, awe is even more than an inspiring feeling. It is also a cognitive catalyst. You see, it expands working memory, it strengthens connection, and it primes children for the kind of learning that endures. Thank you so much for staying with me to the end. I hope you've enjoyed this post, and I really look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.